The bags are packed. You remembered the suntan lotion. You remembered all the chargers. But did you leave some space for the Lord as you prepared for vacation? Hi, I'm Father Kevin Zubel, and I'm a Redemptorist missionary serving in the Diocese of Baton Rouge. We Americans are not good at taking vacation. I recently read a study that said up to 55% of Americans don't take all the time that they're allotted for vacation from work. And there's any number of reasons why we're bad at vacation. Part of it is a lot of us were raised with this sense of drive, and we're worried that if we're away from work too long, that the world's going to fall apart. Or even worse, our coworkers are going to discover that they do just fine without us. We also, even when we go on vacation, we don't do vacation well. So many people don't find vacation restful. I mean, it's just different tasks that we're doing. We plan them to the minute. We try to get in as many experiences as possible. We drag the kids from here to there. And in fact, I remember when I was living on my own before I joined the Redemptorists, whenever I scheduled vacation, I would always schedule what I called vacation from vacation. And that was 2 or 3 days after I got from vacation just to recover before I went back to work. So why are we so bad at vacation? Why are we so hesitant to take time for rest? And I think part of it is because we don't recognize how important, how fundamental this idea of rest, this idea of Sabbath is for us. When we go on vacation, do we take time, do we make space for prayer and for the Lord in our time of vacation? And I mean, this is more than a question of do we remember to go to Mass when we're out of town? I remember when I was little, my father was in the Air Force, and we traveled all over the world. And no matter where we went, we always found some place to go to Mass on Sunday or on Saturday. And sometimes we had absolutely no clue what was being said because it was in German or in French or any number of languages. But we still understood we were at Mass, and we still knew generally what was happening because, the rituals and the texts are so familiar to us as Catholics. But making time for God is more than a question of making time to go to Mass, because sometimes Mass can become just yet another task that becomes a busy part of our vacation. I think when we talk about bringing the Lord with us on vacation, what we're talking about is recognizing the importance of Sabbath in our lives. We know from the very beginning, the story of creation in Genesis, its peak is on that seventh day that the Lord sets aside and makes holy for the purpose of rest. And we know all throughout the Old Testament, in the giving of the law of Moses, the Sabbath wasn't just meant for people. The land was called to enjoy a time of Sabbath. There was a time where the land was supposed to rest. There was a time for the animals to rest. There was a time to remove their yokes. It's a sign for us that fundamental to who we are is this notion of Sabbath and of rest, and recognizing that rest isn't a luxury to be enjoyed, but that rest is something sacred for us to reconnect with God and to reconnect with one another. And that's why it's so important. In my ministry to the Hispanic community, I meet many, many families who don't have time or are unable to take vacation because merely trying to survive requires that they work every minute that's available to them. And so it's a reminder for all of us that as we strive to build the reign of God, part of it is recognizing that rest, relaxation, recreation, fun, play, and vacation aren't luxuries designed for a few, aren't privileges to be earned, but for us as people of faith, Sabbath is fundamental to who we are because Sabbath was fundamental to who God is as God created us. And so when we go on vacation, maybe we just need that permission to rest, to have quiet, to be calm, to not plan every waking minute, to not try and fill that time with experiences. but to recognize that just to be together as a family, that just to be able to take time away from the burdens of daily life, that we have the right to rest. We have the right to relax. And this right comes from God. It's part of who we are. And so we have this passage where Jesus reveals to us that he is Lord of the Sabbath. And this comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain. The Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need of food? He entered the house of God when Abiathar was high priest, and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priests to eat. And he gave some to his companions. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for humankind, and not humankind for the Sabbath. And so the Son of Man is Lord, even of the Sabbath." The Sabbath is not just one additional task in an already busy life. The Sabbath is fundamental to who God is. The Sabbath is fundamental to the way God's love has created and brought all things into being. The Sabbath is essential to who the Holy Spirit is in constantly renewing, refreshing, and restoring us. So vacation isn't a luxury. Vacation isn't another busy task in a lifetime of busy tasks. Bring the Lord with you on vacation, because by recognizing the presence of God, you and your family will recognize the sacredness of your time together. You will accept the divine right to rest and to relaxation. And you'll be able to have a good time, the best of times, because God's will for us is that his joy would be within us and that our joy would be complete.